All right, so promotion for impact, I call my session here. And so I want to start off with a question. And the question I want to ask, and I want you to use the chat, what is the importance of promotion or marketing for your event? Why do we do it? Why do we find that it's so important? And put some of those answers in the chat. Why is it important to do promotion? What's the importance of promotion or marketing for your event? Okay, so to get people to know about the event, yep, that's good. It creates a source of information, Dave. That's exactly right. Yep, for broad outreach to the community. Yep, so it's an awesome way to create a pipeline for communication. Absolutely. Yep, so community kids can know. You hope they become believers. Absolutely. I love that. To bring attention to your event. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Yep, to reach the most children who are not in your church. Yep, that's another good thing that we do promotion for. Absolutely, absolutely. You know, and maybe if you think about it this way, it creates a reason to connect with your church. Promotion should create a reason for people to connect with your church. It also generates interest in your church. It lets people know that your church is alive. There are a lot of churches in my community that I never hear from. And so promotion, and I know they do things, don't get me wrong, but I never hear anything. Somebody will say, hey, did you know Calvary did an event for kids? And I said, no, I didn't know that at all. And I said, well, was it for everybody? And they said, oh, yeah. But they only had 6 kids. And so my question always is, did they even promote the event? And so I think one of the things that I want to hone in on tonight is just some pitfalls. What are some things that we can avoid so that, our promotion doesn't fall flat? Because to be honest, it can fall flat. And if we're not careful, and if we don't do the preparation that we need, and we're not intentional about doing promotion, then we certainly could fall flat on that end. So I want to tell you 11 things, I think, that will help you to make your promotion really impactful. And that's the word I want to use, is impactful, because you want to impact your community. You want to impact the church that you're in, with the gospel. And in order to do that, we have to do good promotion so we can get kids and families to the events that we have. So let me tell you, like I said, 11 ways to avoid some pitfalls. The first one to avoid is not having a plan. When we don't have a plan, okay, the worst thing that we can do is not have a plan when it comes to promotion. That's one of the biggest mistakes that we make when we're planning an event, is that we don't have a goal or we don't have a strategy. And you need to ask yourself, what is the purpose of Vacation Bible School? Or what is the purpose of my summer activity? Or what is the purpose of my Easter extravaganza? That's what our church is doing in a few weeks, is we're having an Easter egg extravaganza. So what's the purpose for that? And what's my strategy, and what's my plan? I need to have a clear goal, and I need to know the target that I'm hitting when it comes to my promotion. So the worst thing that we could do, in our promotion is not having a plan. And our plan needs to make sure that it aligns your event with the vision of your church. What's the vision of your church? It should, what we do needs to promote and it needs to support the mission of our church. So for example, if your vision, one of the visions of your church is to serve your community, make sure you include that in your planning, because there needs to be alignment with the mission and the vision of your church. And so with all events, you need to define what the purpose is. Is it to bring more children to VBS? Is it to connect with your community? Is it to share the gospel with families? You first need to figure out, what's my purpose and what's the plan and how am I going to get there? And then you begin to define and design that strategy for your promotion. So first of all, you have to make sure that you have a plan. So you want to avoid that pitfall of not having a plan. Number two is another pitfall to avoid is not knowing your audience. And that happens a lot. Who is our audience for Vacation Bible School? Think about that. Is your audience just kids? Sure, it could be. And that's not bad. But like in our church, our audience are kids, seniors, parents. We include the whole community, because one of the things we do at Vacation Bible School is we do it at night, but we also include an adult class. And that class happens to be the biggest class in our whole Vacation Bible School. So, so when we're planning our promotion, we don't just plan fun things for kids, but we plan it for not only the family, but we also plan it, for senior adults and anybody else. So, you've got to be thinking about, who your audience is. And when you're planning promotion, guess what? You need to target those audiences. You need to target those places where your audience is. So if you don't have, an adult Bible study, then you're probably not going to want to, bring flyers to that retirement community, right? But you are going to want to make sure you're at the playgrounds, you're at the schools, or, wherever you're allowed to be, where you can interact with your audience that you want to invite to your events. So you make sure that when you're creating an event, that it resonates with your audience. And that's going to be critical. And how you promote that is so important. So remember, number two, avoid that pitfall of not knowing your audience. Number three is not having a brand identity. Not having a brand identity. And when I talk about having a brand identity, if you want your event to be successful, you need to create this identity with your church and with your event. And identity includes what you call it. A friend of mine, they don't call their Vacation Bible School, even though essentially that's what it is. They call it Vacation Bible Camp. So they don't want to use the word school. They want to use the word camp. And so that's how they choose to use, that's their brand, that's their identity. And when they're, branding it, they have a logo of a camp, of a tent and stuff like that, because they wanted to have that type of a vibe. They wanted to have a camp type of a vibe, not a school type of a vibe. And in their community, that brand identity really connects with the people in their community. And they make sure that they use the same colors all the time. They use the same logo all the time. And again, you think about this in different products that we buy when we go to the supermarket. When I go to the supermarket, I have my favorite brands that I buy. And what I do is I go to I go to that brand because I know the color, I know the quality of that product, right? And so as we brand our Vacation Bible School and people know the quality of that, then what are they going to do? They're going to, they're going to continue to resonate with that, and they're going to come back year after year after year, because again, you're creating a brand, you're creating some type of an identification with your community. And so creating that brand identification, hey, Victory Baptist Church, they're the church that does Vacation Bible Camp every year, and that's where the kids make s'mores every year. That's another part of their whole thing. It's so important when they go into their Bible camp every year. They make s'mores. That was one of the things the kids loved the first year. So every year they make sure that that's part of that experience of their Vacation Bible Camp. So you just find what resonates with your community and make sure that you connect that. Make sure there's a connection there, an easy connection there with your community, with your audience, the people that you want to connect with. And you do this again, like I said, your logo, the colors that you use, and you want to make sure that you utilize your website to make sure that you're promoting your Vacation Bible School or your community pages. We're going to talk about social media in a minute, but, make sure that you're getting the word out with postcards or, with little business cards. I know our church, we stopped using flyers because, people said, oh, those are too big to put in our windows. But, we started using the little business cards. And so we'll go into the local pizza shop and the barber shop, and there's bulletin boards, community bulletin boards, and we put up our little business card, and people learn about us through that. So, you just find different ways to connect with your community, but utilize the tools that you do have, like your Facebook pages and and especially your website. I mean, a lot of people don't use their websites well, and that's a shame. But again, it's a place where you can begin to create a brand identity for people. Another pitfall to avoid is not investing in a promotion. And I'm talking financial resources. Usually, if you have a budget, the most successful, VBSs are the VBSs where they do invest some type of finances in promotion. So what are some things that you might use your resources for? Maybe in your town, lawn signs are a big thing. And maybe, you invest in some lawn signs. And I wouldn't, and you want to make sure you invest in lawn signs where you might have the big lawn sign with your VBS, your brand and all that. And then at the bottom, you can then put the dates on. And then every year you can take that bottom part off and put the new dates on. So maybe that you would invest in things like that. Our churches, like I said, invest in these little business cards, because again, it's easy to hand out. We hand about 8 or 10 to people in our church, and we say, this is a great way for you to invite your neighbors and friends to Vacation Bible School. So instead of giving them this big flyer or something like that, these little postcards just seem to be an easier way for people in our church to invite others. But what are some other ways? Put it in the chat. What are some other ways that if you had some money, how could you invest in your Vacation Bible School? Maybe it's a banner. That's another way that you can invest in your church. Maybe your church doesn't have, a banner on the outside that tells about VBS, but maybe you invest in a banner, and then again, you can keep changing the dates every year. But again, that's a way to communicate to your community that you're doing Vacation Bible School. So it's so important that we make sure that we invest in Vacation Bible Schools. Okay, Patty says postcards to save the date to targeted areas. Great idea, great idea. even on social media, you can run, ads that are very, very affordable. And so that might be a way, to invest financially in your event and make it count. So the pitfall of making sure that you definitely invest. Don't be one to fall into the pit of not investing in your promotion of Vacation Bible School. Because again, there are lots of free things to do out there, but think about, is there something that we could get our big bang for the buck if we would spend a little bit of money? And so that could be important. Another pitfall is not promoting your event early enough. Some people wait till the week before and think, people can, people will come even if they know it, the week before. Well, that's not true. People need months, to really make sure that they save the date. Love Patty's idea, send a postcard. And I always think of 6 to 8 weeks. That's the sweet spot, is beginning to promote 6 to 8 weeks out. And 6 to 8 weeks out, maybe you'd send those postcards to everybody. Hey, save the date, and give them the information. Maybe the next thing in week, say in week 8, you start with your save the date postcard. Then maybe in week 6, you follow it up with an email to everybody and say, hey, hopefully you've saved the date, and now give them the link to pre-register for your event, and then after that, after week 6, you've sent out the email. Now you think about, now I need to promote this on my, the community page, on Facebook. And so begin to promote it that way. Maybe your town still has a newspaper, a print newspaper, and another great idea is to make sure that you get in that, because they're always looking for great community-oriented things to promote, and they'll even, provide you space to do that. Especially if you have a couple of pictures from last year, send them in and announce that you're doing your Vacation Bible School again. Renee says they did 4x6 refrigerator magnets to give out at the Easter egg hunt. Awesome, because there you go. You do it at Easter time, right? Your VBS is a couple of months in advance, and there's the perfect way just to give that refrigerator magnet out, and they already have it, put it on their refrigerator, and they've already begun to see that and make it really, and I'm sure, Renee, it's probably very colorful, and it really catches the eye. So that's a great idea. Love that idea. I think I might steal that if it's okay. So another pitfall is, again, not promoting early enough. So let's talk. What other things do you do? Do you resonate with any of these pitfalls? Are any of them helpful? Anything you hadn't thought of before that you might think of now that you've heard that? Please share that in the chat. Would love to hear your ideas. And yes, I am stealing that, Renee. I'm going to go online and I'm going to start designing mine tomorrow, because I love that idea. Just love that idea. Because again, why not? I mean, just, you need to be thinking about that, Number 4 was, let me get my notes here. Number 4 was not investing in your promotion, not investing. And I meant financial resources there. So, make sure you invest in your Vacation Bible School. And then another pitfall is that we need to avoid is neglecting social media. Some people are so afraid of social media, but it's so important that we make sure that we leverage this technology, and that's social media. And that's you know, again, putting ads on, because I think for $20 or even less, you can promote your Vacation Bible School, especially if you make a really nice graphic. And if you have somebody in your church that has Snappa or Canva, they can do it for free, and they can make a really good graphic for you. You can throw that up on social media, and what Facebook will do is they'll put it out to all sorts of you know, all sorts of areas, you know, that you want, that you choose. You say, you know, your town, you know, these are the type of families that I want to target, people with children, and they just know all that, and they'll put it out there. So so it really is a great way to promote your event, because again, it goes a long way. And in a lot of cases, you know, social media is free. Create some hashtags, partner with people in your church who are influencers, who have a lot of friends on Facebook. And I always say to people, I'm always at my church when I tell them, hey, I put this up on Facebook. Please, please, please share. That's the best thing your folks can do on Facebook, is share, because when they share, it goes to all their friends. And if all their friends would share, then it just, you know, it goes to so many places. So I'm not sure how well you choose, Denise, how long you want social media. You know, we'll do it, and they have different things. Like I've done an ad on social media for $10, and I think it goes for like 3 or 4 days, and it kind of depends. I don't know the prices. I haven't done it since last summer, so I don't know if the prices have gone up. But if you you know, you go to your toolbar there to the left, it gives you the option of promoting your event. So, so think about that, because again, it's pretty cost effective, you know, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But I want to go back, because a few people have, excuse me, I get too excited. I'm sorry. Have written some things I want about. Tara says she uses word of mouth for her members, and it's worked for years, and they have more than 200 every year. So that's good. And I like, Denise, your idea about the Chamber of Commerce community calendar. There you go. I mean, I don't know if my community doesn't have a Chamber of Commerce, but the town over from me does. So I bet they would promote it on that. You know, and now that you've got me thinking, Denise, we have a council on aging in town, and I bet if I let them know about our VBS for seniors, I bet they would put it on their calendar. So, you know, think, you know, think about all of the different places that maybe that you haven't put any effort into doing promotion. So social media. Also, another pitfall we fall into is not setting the right expectations. You know, if you want your event to be successful, you need to set some right expectations. Don't oversell your event. Don't promise things that you may not keep. You know, like, for example, like, I'll give you an example, not a VBS, but one of the things that somebody in our church, and we were just talking about it, but we had talked about doing a sensory Easter egg hunt. And so it got out there to several people in the community, and we didn't end up doing it. And I know people were, you know, disappointed about that. So, you know, don't oversell something if you're not going to be able to do it. And then, you know, tell your people, you know, unless it goes out, you know, as official, you know, don't promise to do things if you can't do them. Like if you're not going to have childcare, you know, make sure that's clear for people, because again, sometimes when we're doing Vacation Bible School, people think, oh, they're, you know, they'll have childcare, but you know, that's not always the case. So make sure that, you know, you don't sell something that you're not going to be able to do, because again, that doesn't really help. And so, promotion can be pretty complex. And, you know, there's always room for improvement when it comes to, how we promote our events. And so the next pitfall that I want to help you to avoid is not tracking the effectiveness of your event. You know, again, like I said, you know, our events can be pretty complex. There's a lot of moving pieces and parts going on when it comes to our events. And so we want to make sure that we're assessing what's working and what's not. Like I'm thinking, Renee, your magnets must be really helping, because, you know, assessing, you know, where did you hear about our VBS? And maybe they're saying, oh, we got a magnet from, you know, your Easter event or something like that. So you need to make sure that you're tracking some of the promotion effectiveness that you have. We've never used lawn signs for our Vacation Bible School, but I belong to another group in town, and they were using lawn signs, and they realized that it was a waste of money because people weren't coming because of lawn signs. They were coming because of word of mouth. So, you know, so before you go spending too much money or keep spending money on the same thing, just find out, is it being effective or not? And if it's not, then stop doing it. But, you know, it's just the same thing that I was saying about the little business cards. You know, we were putting a lot out in producing these 8.5 by 11 posters, and we did that for years. It was just a thing we were doing. And then finally, you know, somebody that I had was putting up a sign, and they said, you know, we don't really like flyers anymore. And I, you know, finally, when I was opening up my eyes, I could see that that's true, that people weren't putting the big posters up in their windows anymore. But she said, but, you know, put some cards right here, and as people are paying for their pizza, they'll take a card if it, you know, if it's something that they want to be a part of. And as it turned out, what ends up happening every year is I end up having to buy more of those business cards, because people keep calling and says, hey, you know, your stack of cards is gone. And so, you know, it might be a way, you know, for your Vacation Bible School to get the word out in a different way. But make sure whatever promotion you're using, you're tracking to make sure that it's being effective, because you want to be a good steward of, you know, money or resources that the Lord has given you. So the other thing is, not learning from our mistakes is another pitfall that we fall into. And again, you know, it goes back to my little, the business card and the flyer. I mean, I had to learn, you know, after 2 or 3 years of making all those posters, and we really weren't, that was something that I was wasting money on, because I was having the posters made up. And really, I saved money by going into the small business card. So, you know, learn from some of the mistakes you make. And every year, you should make sure that you're debriefing. You know, what are the things that are working? What are the things that are not working? Listen to your team members. Listen to other people out in the community. Maybe do a survey in your church, and, you know, ask for feedback from other people. Another pitfall is failing to follow up after your event. And that happens to a lot of churches. They end up not following up on their Vacation Bible School. And so there'll be a webinar on that. I think it's on March 20th. I'll be doing that webinar, because I really have a passion for following up with Vacation Bible School or any event that you have. But one of the pitfalls is that we fall into this idea of, you know, we're exhausted, and that's one of the things that falls through the cracks. And then lastly, not planning for the future. And by that, I mean, is that when you are doing Vacation Bible School, what's the next event? What are you planning for next? Just like Renee, she's doing, somebody in their church is doing an Easter egg hunt. They're already thinking Vacation Bible School, and they're prepared for that. So when you're doing Vacation Bible School, you should have the next event already queued up and lined up, so that when people leave your event, you promote the next event, right? So a lot of churches just don't do that. I don't know about you, but when I promote in my church, what I promote is we have 4 anchor events every year. And that's where we put our time and our money and our effort and our energy into those 4 events. And then we know every year, what needs to flow into that. But by the same token, you need to learn, from your mistakes and evaluate what you're doing and what you're not doing. And one of the mistakes we made is we did an event for too long. And that event was our trunk or treat. And what happened was we were the first, organization in our town that did our trunk or treat. And about, 5 years into it, guess what? Every other community group in our town was doing trunk or treat. And so finally we had to let go of that event because we weren't getting as much traction as some of the other organizations, which was okay. So then we put we put some energy into another event, which is now we're doing an ice cream social after Vacation Bible School. So that's where we put our energy in. So sometimes you just need to make adjustments when it comes to your events as you go along. So, make sure that you're open to that. And being honest and saying, yeah, that's just not working anymore. And going before the Lord and asking prayer and listening to your leaders and again, doing that honest evaluation, on a regular basis so that you can avoid some of the pitfalls and making sure that you're doing, the things that have the most potential, not only for the body of Christ where you are, but for your community. What does your community need? When we did trunk or treat, that was a need we felt like our community had because we had gone to the selectmen and they said, we wish that there was some type of event, on Halloween that, families could come to. And so, I thought, wow, we could do trunk or treat. And so it was great the first, like I said, 3 or 4 years. But then after that, people started to do it and it just seemed the need wasn't there anymore. And even though we loved doing the event, we just needed to step back and put our energy someplace else. And so we were able to do that. And so I think that when you're thinking about your promotion strategy, you need to think about that too. Are the things that we need to let go I was talking to somebody today and they sang me the Elsa song. Sometimes we just need to let it go, let go. So anyway, I see in the chat, Renee says Mother's Day is another day with lots of visitors to hand out the magnets or a special bulletin inserts, worship handouts. Yeah, sometimes we have, absolutely, we have other opportunities when there are going to be a lot of people. And that's a great opportunity to make sure that you're promoting your event. Great idea. Please put some more ideas there in the chat because would certainly love to hear from you. What's maybe one takeaway from promotion that you'll, take back to your church and implement, or something you heard that maybe you'll try to avoid this year? Or something, as some of you have already put in, things that are working for you so we can share them with everybody else. I like that. And somebody says Canva for churches is free. So that's a good thing to know. So Canva is a software or a website where you can create graphics. And actually, I use Snappa and Canva, and I have to say, I think I like Canva better. I think their designs are much more contemporary. There was a learning curve with Canva, but I've gotten over that. I thought Snappa was a lot easier, so that's important. Okay, somebody says they include the registration form QR code in our worship bulletin for April and May. Love that idea. QR codes are great. Those you can put on, small business cards when you're, you know, handing out invitations. I don't know about your school systems, but sometimes you can print flyers or just find out from the school system if there are ways that you can promote events, you know, for your church. Now, the church that I was telling you about, who changed the name to be more community friendly, their school system, because it was called a camp, let them put that in their school information. And that was, they were able to generate a lot of, you know, a lot of, you know, kids that came through that system. So you might want to think about this. Somebody else mentioned this will be our first VBC Vacation Bible Camp. Great. I love that idea. Yep. So we don't use worship bulletins. Okay. So, you know, but I have a TV in front that we will be using to announce. Good. You know, the other thing I saw, I'm at my house, and I went to a conference, and I just thought I had it here, but I was in a church, and I took it, and it was in another state, so I figured they wouldn't miss it. It was from Texas, but anyway, they had these. It was about the size of an index card, and they had the QR code for their Vacation Bible School, but it had Velcro on it, and they stuck it to the chair. And it looked like it could be easy to make. But, you know, if you don't have a worship bulletin, maybe having things like that might work. So, so anyway, don't tell anybody in Texas I took it. Thank you, Dave. Now that I've recorded this, I'm going to take that out. All right, I'll give kids a T-shirt, a VBS T-shirts. Yeah, if your church has the means to do that, that's a really great idea. Yeah, why not? Why not? Maybe do it through do some promotion through your Sunday school with the kids. Maybe do a couple of the VBS crafts ahead of time, you know, to kind of wet their whistle. That's promotion right there. That's promotion right there.